Hey, everybody. How is everybody doing? Hope you're having a great day so far. Thanks so much for being here today. We are talking about all the things. So open up your chat, say hello, and I'm going to put into the chat what I'd love for you to share for today. Make sure you've got your pen and your paper. And what's your name? Where are you zooming in from today? Why you're joining us today? Maybe what you do for money, also helpful. You are not your job title, which we'll talk about. What your favorite color is, what your favorite quote. Tell us all the things. I want to know all the things. And so, yeah, so you are not going to be able to unmute yourself and your video should be off. I can't see you. Nobody else should be able to see you. So feel free to be yourself in this moment, but go ahead and keep the chat open, and I'm going to keep it open. So I'm going to put it over here. So when it looks like I'm looking that way, that's why. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to the free masterclass today on how to get a better life, whether life balance, improving your health, and adding more joy. And so what we're going to talk about today is really about you showing up for you every single day, right? Afterwards, I'm going to send you, I'll put a link into the chat with a little thank you page. And this will be where you get your free cheat sheet worksheet that looks like this. And it'll be just for you. You don't have to share it with me unless you want to, so that you can start making your plan for yourself today. Some of you who are on this call already know me. You might have already heard some of these things from me. I love you. I'm so glad that you're here. And it's always good to check in, even if we think that we've got it all down. It's always good to check in with ourselves every single day. So I have to tell you, even though I'm a lawyer, this isn't legal advice. I'm not going to be talking about the law today, but I just need to tell you that this isn't legal advice. I'm not trying to get your business. I'm not trying to get you to hire me as a lawyer. I'm a nice lawyer, but that's not what today about. Today is about showing up for yourself, me showing up for you, and to give you some information that I hope that can be helpful for you. Okay. So keep putting your stuff into the chat, say who you are, where you're zooming in from. We still have people coming. We've got plenty of people who are still joining that are in the waiting room, which I turned off so that way people can just come and go as they please. So if you don't know me, there are some people on the list who don't know me yet. I am a licensed attorney in Louisiana. I'm also a licensed master social worker in Louisiana. I'm also an educator. I've worked with 8th graders all the way up to retirees and taught in the classroom, taught in the community. I am an empowerment coach, and I'm also a certified ethics trainer for the state of Louisiana with the Board of Ethics. So I care about rules. I care about, doing things the right way. And I also care about structures and processes. So we talk a lot about that. I've been transatlantic, meaning I've been living on 2 continents for a little over 14 years. I can't believe it's been over 14 years already. It happened so quickly. And so right now, my home bases are New Orleans and Brussels, but I've also lived in Vienna and in Prague, and I just love Europe, and I won't ever change my life. I won't ever say, no, I don't want to live on 2 continents anymore. So that's kind of what today is about, is figuring out what you want, why you want it, and then so that way you can start thinking about how you're going to get it, right? So I spend about 50% of my time doing work for pay so that way I can pay my bills. And then I spend the other 50% of my time really being in the community, serving on boards. And I spend a lot of time working with people. I'm a huge continuing education advocate. And I have 2 goals every day. 1, to make a stranger laugh. So maybe I've made you laugh already. If I have, great. If not, maybe by the end of this, session. And the other one is to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And that really requires me to constantly reflect, to think, to analyze, to tweak, and to try to show up as my best self every single day. And I have a thing about lawyers. I want happy lawyers in the world. I want lawyers who are happy. I am a happy lawyer. And we do exist. There are far and few between of us. But this session isn't just for lawyers, right? We've got students, we've got development people on the call, we've got plenty of other types of people on the call. And so happiness is for everyone. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to work too hard for it. You just have to kind of let things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And that's really about listening to yourself. And we'll talk a lot about that today. So before we do anything, I want to do just a little bit of breathing. So what we're going to do is a little box breathing. And so you might have already done this. You might already be familiar with it, but if you're not, don't worry, it's okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through it. And Navy SEALs use box breathing. And when we say box breathing, you can think about like your screen that you're on right now, whether that might be a phone or an iPad or whatever you might be on. And think about a box that it has 4 sides. And the idea is that you follow the box, follow the box, follow the box, follow the box. And then from there, you breathe in, you hold, you breathe out, and you hold. So box breath is really about the breathing in, the holding, the breathing out, and the holding for the same count, right? Because a box has 4 equal sides, generally. We'll call it a square, right? Navy SEALs use this specific type of breathing technique to regulate their heartbeat before they go into a stressful situation. So we're going to do 4 of these, or 5 technically. The first one's just practice. And so I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to shake it out. This isn't a box breathing part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through it. So I'm actually going to do the counting. And because I like you, I'm going to put some music on. It'll be nice, calm music. And then I'm going to walk you through it. And then as we go into each breath, I'm going to change the image on the screen so that way you have something nice to look at if you want to keep your eyes open. But if you're in a safe place and you feel comfortable, I want you to close your eyes and really just take a moment to get into yourself. I know that some of y'all are like, this is really woo, Sheila. This is not what I signed up for. It's almost over. We'll get to the good stuff, right? But I want you to have this in your back pocket. And we'll talk about another breathing technique later. But I want you to have this in your back pocket because it is virtually imperceptible, which means that when you are in a stressful situation at work or with your family or with your partner or with your best friend or whomever, you can just hold your breath, do your thing, do your box breathing to give yourself that moment to start to regulate yourself and to touch base with yourself so that way you can show up as you need to show up for yourself in that moment, not just for them. So we are going to do 4 or 5 of these. First one is practice. And so get comfortable. I want you to put your hands somewhere relaxing. You can put it on your table, on your lap, something like this. Put your pen, put your phone down. This is only going to take a minute. And we're going to breathe in for 4. We're going to hold for 4. Then we're going to breathe out for 4. And then we're going to hold for 4. This will be hard because you're going to want to immediately take a breath. So just remember, it's only for 4. It's going to be quick. And now we're going to get started. So I'm going to put some music on, some calm, gentle music, not like what we did when we came in. Take a deep breath and just get it out. Okay, ready? Remember, the first one's practice. All right, we're going to breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So take another deep breath. That was a practice one, right? Okay, we're going to try it again. And then we're going to do it 4 times in a row. You ready? Okay. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 3, 4, out, 3, 4, hold, 3, 4. We're doing it again. And then 1, 2, hold, out, 1, and hold, 1, 2. All right, last one. In, 1, hold, 1, out, and then 3. All right. Now breathe it all out. Take a deep sigh. This takes practice. Obviously, we're on the Zoom. If we were in person, it would feel a little more comfortable, but this is a box breathing mechanism technique that you can use. And you can use 4, you can use 6, you can use 3, whatever it is, as long as it is the, actual one, like the actual numbers are the same all the way across the board, okay? So we did the box breathing, but there's actually another technique, a really simple technique that I like to use too, and it's to breathe out longer than you breathe in. There's a bunch of science behind this. I'm not going to get into it, but just suffice it to say that when you breathe out longer than you breathe in, let's say you breathed in on a count of 4 and you breathe out on a count of 5 or 6 or 7. So you're breathing in, but longer out. You're signaling to your brain and your vagus nerve, which is a nerve that runs through your whole body and tells your organs, hey, this is what we're supposed to be doing right now. You signal that you're safe. You signal that it's okay. You're signaling to your brain and to your body that there's no danger, that you are in control. I find this helps a lot when I'm excited and can't sleep, like last night when I was really excited about today. Or like if I'm about to go into a call that I know that I need to keep my wits about me, I will do this box breathing. I will do this breathe in, breathe out longer. I do it 3 or 4 times, just like we did. And yeah, so I wanted you to have that right away, because you might find that you need it as we start asking some questions as we go through this hour. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh. So why are we meeting today? So remember, today's focus is about you. So I want you to turn off your notifications. I want you to pay attention. You are here. We've got 47 minutes left. They're going to be jam-packed. Focus on yourself, right? Lock the doors if you can, so no littles come screaming in, or adults who want to steal your time away, perhaps. You know the ones. So what we're going to talk about today is why we're talking, why we're meeting today, why this masterclass exists. We're going to talk about you, lots about you. Setting intentions. We're going to talk about SMART goals and some baby steps. Those of you who've worked with me, who are on this call, you know what I'm talking about, baby steps. And then at the end, I'll give you a link with some gifts for free. All right. So why are we meeting today? Well, 1, I want to help you. 2, the world is on the brink, y'all. Let's be real. COVID has been a lot of things to a lot of people. It's been heartbreaking. We've lost a lot of people. It's been stressful. It's been grief-stricken. It has been happy for some people. It's been healthier for others. How you experience the last year plus is purely you, right? It is purely how you were able to show up in that moment and to be there for yourself or not, right? And it's been a hard year-ish plus. And we've been getting a lot of information, a lot of conflicting information from a lot of places. And I say too many places because everybody has some advice. I mean, like right now, we're even on this masterclass. I'm like, let me tell you about these things you can do for yourself. This is advice, but you're choosing to be here, which is different than getting some unsolicited advice wherever you might go. And, early on, we just had a lot of shifts that we had to deal with, but now we're in this reshift Who are we? What are we doing now? How do we work? Are we going back to the office? Are we in the office and we are like, this is terrible, I don't want to be here anymore? It's a lot of shifts in paradigms and how we think about our lives and our work and what we want out of our everything, our life here on earth. We've had a lot of shifts in our physical spaces as well. All of a sudden we found ourselves working in a household with like 10 other people in the house that aren't normally there, 6 other people or whatever. Sometimes we used to being with a bunch of people and then we were all of a sudden stuck by ourselves. And now we're having to sort of reacquisition. That's not what I wanted to say, but like sort of reacclimate to being around people. I know I'm having this stress right now. Thank goodness for breathing techniques. And our routines, we had routines, they weren't working for us. And then we had some new routines with COVID and the pandemic. And now we're like shifting and what are we doing? Where are we going? What is my routine? How am I doing this now? There's a lot going on. And I want y'all to recognize that, right? I want you to pay attention to it. And so those of you who know me, those of you who don't know me, those who know me already know what this is. But if you don't know me yet, you will. So I do this, right? This isn't like a loser kind of situation, but there's intellectual knowledge and then there's emotional knowledge. And so the intellectual us gets it. The get it done, do what you gotta do, survive, just do what you gotta do. But the emotional and the psychological, those things that are going on underneath the surface, those things have been bubbling up even more than ever, right? Because we've had all of these things that are coming at us all the time. We're having to deal with new things every single day. And we're having to deal with new ways of doing the same things that we've always done. Somehow we're having to add an extra layer to it. And so we have to give ourselves a little grace. And we're going to talk about that as well. A lot of us are on one side of the spectrum or the other, right? I think maybe now as things are starting to get more, I don't want to call it normal because I don't want it to be normal. I want it to be what you want it to be. As we're starting to kind of go back out into the world and get more in people's spaces and doing kind of creating these new routines for ourselves, I'm finding more people are getting back to the middle of the spectrum. But for a long time, we were on one end of the spectrum. We were fine or we were not fine. And there was a swinging and you never knew which day what was going to show up, right? We're getting better because we're starting to find our groove now, but it's still a lot. We're still dealing with this, right? And so I have a personal mission to equip every single person that I meet with the tools and the skills and the knowledge that they need to live a rich, happy, joyful life. If you don't know this about me, I'm a very joyful person. Life is short. I lost my parents when I was young. My dad died when I was 12 and my mom when I was 16. I raised my sister and I love her. But I know how short life is. And I don't want to live one single day not being happy and joyful. And that's what I want for y'all as well, right? This is why I like to spread my joy. And I like to find humor and joy and love every single day. And plus I've got those 2 goals that we talked about, right? So I'm here to help where I can. And that's why this masterclass was born. This is why I started reaching out about this stuff like super hard, especially when COVID happened, because I felt like everybody was losing it. And I was like, I can help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. So in the chat, I want you to tell me how many hours of sleep do you get each night? And is that number solid all the way through or broken up into segments? You're like, I wasn't expecting to give you a sleep journal today, Sheila. And while y'all are doing that, just throw them into the chat. And I just want to tell you, so while y'all are doing that and telling me how much you sleep, this sleeping 8 hours nonstop a night is actually a myth. It was put on us by industrialized society and came to full throttle when cars started arriving. The makings of the assembly line and the expectation to work 40 hours a week. That was Ford. He did this to us. You can blame him. But we don't have to abide by it. Now you're saying, but my job says I have to work 40 hours a week. Yes, right? There are ways for us to still get what you need, but the sleeping is really important. Early agrarian societies never slept 8 hours a night nonstop, right? They rose and they slept with the sun. They went to bed at dusk. They slept until 1 or 2 a.m. They got up, they tended their animals and their crops. They ate something, they visited neighbors, they did some housework, and then they went back to sleep for a few hours and woke up with the sun, right? So this story that we've been given that we have to fall asleep and have a full night's sleep is a myth, right? But you still need to sleep. And that's why sleep is always at the top of my list. So there are 4 things that are more important than anything else. Those of you, some of you know this already. Sleep, sustenance, sports, which is movement, and sex, sex. Okay, it's not sex. It's, well, it can be sex if you want, right? All right, so sustenance, your food, sleep, your rest, you're taking care of yourself, your sustenance, those 4 S's, right? The sustenance, your food, your nourishment, your vitamins, and making sure you're getting your greens every day or whatever. Sports, moving every single day, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a stretching every day, take a walk, whatever it looks like. And then that 4th one is sex, which is sex. But it really means relationships and your emotional health and your emotional relationship with yourself, right? Those are my 4 S's: sleep, sustenance, sports, and sex. Okay. Why am I telling you this? Because I want to give you permission so you can give yourself permission to not beat yourself up for laying awake in bed all night. The next time I challenge you, when you're laying awake and you cannot sleep and you're just getting aggravated, I want you to get up. I want you to go do something. There's some kind of incomplete cycle in there somewhere. And remember, this is in your genes, right? The brain needs to complete a task. So go wash a dish, empty the dishwasher, tidy up the living room, then go lay down again. Notice I did not say work, okay? I mean to complete a task that has to do with your personal space to help your brain go, oh, okay, we're powering down now. Oh, okay, I did that thing. Now I can. It doesn't matter what the thing is, okay? Don't use this as an excuse not to sleep. You need sleep, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I've got I've got a 4 to 6 actual sleep time, lots of 6s and 7s, 7 to 8, 7 to 9. I love 9. 9 is beautiful, right? And here's the other thing is often what happens is we don't sleep enough during the week. And then we get to the weekend and we try to like cram all and we just sleep in late and it's actually better. And we'll talk about that. It's actually better for you to get the same amount of sleep or a consistent amount of sleep each night. So our focus today is on you, right? So first and foremost, we all have 1,440 minutes in a day. How you spend it is purely up to you. And I know you're saying to me, but Sheila, I have a job. Sheila, I have clients. Yes, I'm aware, but you're choosing to spend your time in that way. If you need to make a different choice, that's what people like me are here for, right? I want you to give yourself permission to rest. We are all in transition right now. All of us, me, you, everybody on this call, everyone in the world, we are literally always, that's a Parks and Rec, literally, always, always, always in transition. We're always waiting for the next thing. We're planning for the next thing. We're going to the next thing. We're going to the next. You are literally always in transition. You have to give yourself rest so that you can show up in that way. So do nothing, plan nothing, just be. And rest can be constructive. Anybody who does yoga in here knows that Shavasana is constructive rest. It's my most favorite thing. I'm all about laying there doing nothing on the floor. But rest also helps you be more productive. And so look, sleep is important. We talked about agrarian societies, but there's actually been a study recently where the results, it was a British longitudinal study. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but it tracked middle-aged individuals that are 50 years or older from when they started. That's considered middle age, who sleep 6 hours or less a night. This study found that those people who slept 6 hours or less a night were more likely to develop dementia in their late 70s. Sleep is the risk factor of dementia, not a symptom of dementia. So what we've always thought before is that, oh, we can't sleep because we're not well, because the dementia is related to just something that's going on in our brains. Well, what's happening, and that what they found is that actually what's happening is that your brain hasn't had enough rest. Therefore, it starts shutting down. Say it again. Your brain starts shutting down. So it's better for you to start sleeping, right? Start trying to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. That's what the results came from the study. And I can also send that to y'all later if y'all want to read about it. Secondly, focus is still on you, right? Give yourself permission not to do something that you've put off, like, I don't know, power washing your house, which just got done this week, cleaning out your gutters, emptying the dishwasher, or don't, right? There's a difference between actually procrastinating versus delaying. And humans are really bad at prioritizing long-term goals over instant gratification. Waiting 10 days to do a task that literally takes 10 minutes is normal, right? And there are ways to combat that. It's not as simple as just screaming at yourself in your head, just do the thing, just do it. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? There's something else that's deeper involved, and that is the emotional, psychological underpinnings that we've already discussed, right? This intellectual knowledge and the emotional knowledge. The intellectual you knows what you need to do, right? That's not the problem. The emotional you is the one that may be avoiding a feeling or avoiding completing something, because if you complete it, then there's a what next after that. And that's where expectations come in. And I'll also include a link to an exercise workbook later. We'll talk about that. But delaying a task isn't the same thing as procrastinating. Procrastinating is the avoidance of a feeling. And right now we have all the feelings all the time, right? So something as simple as taking out the recycling feels like we're going to lose our minds sometimes. And we can only do so much. We can only take so much. So delaying a task is to say, seriously, like, that's not a priority right now for me. This other thing is. And about 20% of people regularly do this. Both are normal. It becomes procrastination when it gets delayed, delayed, and delayed again to the point where it needs to be done and it's affecting our life. And it's when we realize that we are avoiding that feeling. But we have to ask ourselves the question of whether we're avoiding it or not. Okay, more on that later. Third, I want you to give yourself permission to laugh and be silly and enjoy life. And this slide has not changed in the many times that I've given this presentation, because I love this little kid here. I mean, who doesn't want a little shark costume and just to laugh and have fun? Watch a silly movie, listen to some upbeat music, be in the moment, be okay with not knowing something. You know, one thing that we've learned in the last year and a half is that life is short, right? We want to spend it with the people we love, doing what we love to do, and not doing what we hate to do. And sometimes that includes our jobs, which is a different conversation for a different day. And in the last year or so, I've spoken with thousands, when I tell you thousands of people about their wellness. And the concerns have always come through loud and clear. I don't want to go back to a pre-COVID life. Nobody wants that. This is an opportunity right now to start to change your life, especially as we start reacclimating to newness. And we're like feeling the pressure of, now people are going to expect me to show up at birthday parties. You don't have to go to those birthday parties. You can say, Sheila said, I don't have to go. I give you permission. But we've been afraid, right? Afraid to upset someone, disappoint someone, uproot people's lives, leave your partners, leave your jobs, and go after your dreams. Now is a great time to do that. Period. So in the chat, I want you to tell me, what is the biggest frustration you have at home or work right now? I love that other people are saying that they have naps from the sleeping. That I count naps towards sleep. That can also be rest. It is constructive rest, and we'll talk about fake naps later. So tell me, what's your biggest frustration that you might have right now? You can send this to me privately if you don't feel like you can put it out there publicly. That's okay. Biggest frustration, home, work. It could be having to carry a mask with you everywhere you go. It could be getting in the car, driving a half a block, realizing you don't have a mask and you have to go all the way back home. Office politics, that's good. That you're not doing work that you're not passionate about, good. right? These are things that are big. These are things that money struggles. We've got some money struggles coming in here. Good. These frustrations that you have, people telling me what to do. That's good. Just because they tell you what to do does not mean you have to actually do what they say or do it the way that they've said that you should do it. Just giving you permission for that one. We could talk about that one offline later. But think about this. And even if you don't want to put it in the chat, it's okay. But you know immediately offhand what that biggest frustration you have right now. So we're going to talk a little bit about expectations. So this is kind of what you normally see, right? We think expectation is like we get from here to here. No. Reality is like, right? It is all over the place to get to where you want to go. Right? We need to cut ourselves some slack, AKA we need to give ourselves a lot of grace, right? We cannot do it all. Y'all cannot do it all. And it is okay not to do it all. I give you permission not to do it all. It will be there tomorrow. And unless you have some crazy deadline where you are a lawyer and you have a court deadline and you could commit malpractice by not following that deadline, pretty much anything and everything can be moved. Now, remember the conversation earlier about delaying and procrastinating. There's a difference between delaying something and procrastinating. And there's a difference between prioritizing something and procrastinating something. But if you're going to switch from not doing it all or doing it all to not doing it all, then you need a plan. And that's what I can help you with. And that's what we're going to talk about as we continue, as we go through this session, right? A million little tasks and you never feel good, that never feel good. Some deep tasks that need to be done. Good. Excellent. Tapping into what is the thing that's frustrating me. There are 4 main types of expectations. 2 of these ruin relationships. They ruin relationships at work and at home. And we'll talk about them. So you have expectations that you have of yourself, things that you expect for you to show up every day, do X, Y, and Z. Then there are expectations that you have of other people, right? Even expectations of what you had from me today, showing up here today. Then we have expectations that others have of you. So someone says, hey, Sheila, I expect you to meet with this client on this day at this time, and I need you to da-da-da, whatever, right? Obviously, I give my own orders, right? But this idea that somebody has said, this is an expectation that you must fulfill, okay? Remember the conversation we just had about deadlines. Every deadline can be moved unless it can't be, but generally they can be moved, okay? And then we have my favorite type of expectation. These are just the 4 mains. There are lots of like under levels of expectations, are expectations that you think other people have of you. This one's my favorite. Why is it my favorite? Because that's expectations that aren't real. Those are expectations that are unreasonable. Those are expectations that we think other people expect of us, when in reality, if we asked them, they would say, I don't expect that from you. Your boss would say, I don't expect you to be here before I show up every day. What? That's crazy pants. I want you to sleep. I don't need you to be here at 8:43 when I show up at 9, so that way I can see your butt in the seat. We have been telling ourselves all of these things that we think we're supposed to be doing without, and putting all this external or internal pressure on ourselves, but blaming it on external factors of what we think other people expect from us. This is different than expectations that you have of yourself. So, and there's a bam. That's where I really struggle. Oh, that's good. And that came in privately. So there's lots of messages coming in privately. I'll just keep sending them. So we're going to talk a little bit about expectations, but I want to give you first 5 steps to handling frustrating situations where your expectations may not be aligned, whether that's you for yourself, you to another, another to you, or what you think other people actually expect of you. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we want to be the best. We want to do it right. We don't want to ruin our reputation, except saying I need an extra day to complete that thing doesn't ruin your reputation. Now, if you're missing a huge client deadline because you're missing a deadline, that's a different conversation. There's something else going on. But changing the day when you're going to turn something in, it's probably not going to hurt anything, right? So 5 things you can do. 1, I want you to, when you're feeling this frustration, you're like, when you're feeling that frustration, I want you to pay attention to how you're feeling in that exact moment. And I want you to take a breath. Right? You can do your box breathing. And normally what happens, we go, I just need to take a breath. And we take a breath and then we just keep going. No, what I want for you to do is to take a moment to breathe. Pardon yourself, excuse yourself, go to the restroom, go stand outside, go hide in a corner, whatever you need to do, but take a breath. And this is why I'm teaching you the one that's virtually imperceptible. So you can be in the moment of a frustrating situation and do this box breathing. Nobody's going to know that you're trying to regulate yourself. Okay. So take a breath. Identify and name your feelings. Right? Are you mad, angry, sad, disappointed, exhausted, tired, frustrated, overwhelmed, hungry, or any other number of feelings that you might have? Identify it and name it right there in that moment. Why am I feeling this way? What am I feeling? And then identify what that underlying issue is. So you got the what, now is the why. Is it communication? Is somebody pushing against your boundaries? Is it physical space? You're like, it's still COVID. You claim that you're vaccinated. I don't want you anywhere near me. Please step 6 feet away from me, whatever it might be. Masking, especially now, I'm having to do a lot of breathing inside my mask. When I see other people not wearing their mask, it's very disconcerting. But what I'm feeling is afraid because I don't want to get sick, because I don't want to bring it home, because I live in a high risk household. So like all of this other stuff, but you check in with yourself. Okay. Number 4, note where and when the issue comes up. So those of you who've worked with me before, you know my 5 W's and how. Who, what, where, why, when, how. Maybe I haven't said it to you quite like that, but I've been framing questions like this. Note where and when the question comes up or the issue comes up. Is it in a meeting? Is it at work? Is it an email? Is it text? Is it call? Is it somebody doing something that you wouldn't do yourself? Like, I would never handle it that way. That's an expectation that you have of someone else. And if you don't communicate that to them, how are they supposed to give you what you want? Okay. Is it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Now we're starting to look for patterns. When is this coming up? Is this always at 3:33 on a Tuesday afternoon? That's important information. What's going on Tuesdays that's leading to this? Maybe it's not even on Tuesday. Maybe it's something Wednesday morning you're stressed about, but you don't even realize. Pay attention to where and when. And then 5th, easy, make a plan. Make a plan to communicate what you want, what you need, and how you want to resolve the issue, including any steps that need to be taken. You don't have to necessarily communicate all of the things to the other person, but you do need to communicate what you need. And we're not always natural communicators, right? It's about our emotions. When we're communicating things, we think that we're supposed to, and we've been trained our whole lives, no matter what career profession you are in, we're trained to think logically. Well, that's not logical. Let me think about it a different way. This intellectual side. But the emotional side does not think like that. The emotional side is in your body and your feelings, and you're like, oh, I hate this person. I don't want to see them ever again. You should listen to that. We also tend to look for a straight answer. And the truth of the matter is that there's no one exact way to do things. You're just going to have to try, see how things go. If that doesn't work, do it differently next time. And that's the point of today, right? You can't expect of others what you expect of yourself, ever. You will always find pain there. We want people to see things our way, right? And we want to just fix the issue and move along, but we don't always resolve the issues. Often what happens is we just shove down our wants, we shove down our needs and our feelings because we think that they don't matter, or it's fine, I'll just let that go for now. Oh, I'll just let that go for now. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to engage. But what happens is instead of dealing with the situation, we just keep pushing it. And that could be procrastination. Avoiding the feeling of the stress associated with that. When we shove these things down, we essentially stifle ourselves, right? And when we have expectations of others, but we don't communicate to them what those expectations are, or even acknowledge them for ourselves, literally no one is going to know what you need or want if you do not speak up for yourself and others, right? If you want to be productive, if you want to be happy, if you want to be joyful, then you need to tune in to what you want and what you need and what you expect in your workplace, at your home, in your friends, in your circle of friends, at the restaurant, at the coffee shop, whatever it is. Communicate what you need so that way people can have the opportunity to, oh, I had no idea that, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me fix that. Let me fix it right now. They might just very well not, they just might have just spaced and didn't know. You have to give people the opportunity to correct that. We know this intellectually, right? But that's not the issue. And I want you to ask yourself when you get in these situations, where am I holding myself back emotionally? What's happening? Why am I feeling this emotion? What emotion am I feeling and why? So that way you can start to take the steps towards communicating that. And that's what that's what I do with my clients, with my legal clients, with my coaching clients, lawyers, designers, yogis, bookkeepers, creatives, all kinds of service-based professionals. I help people figure out what they want, why they want it, and then we maybe come up with the exact words of what you can say in that moment and help them identify what's actually going on so that they can get what they want. Sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes it takes a long time to really get in tune with how you feel. Sometimes people are like, oh, I know that. I'm ready to go, Sheila. It takes, everybody is different, right? This pandemic has brought up some deep-seated traumatic experiences. And if you live here along the coast, then I will say the H word for hurricane season. Y'all, repeated every single year. But it's also brought up these feelings of desperation for safety and security and certainty, and that we are in charge of ourselves and our bodies. And that bodily autonomy has been big, big, big this year, right? Sometimes we're afraid to look weak or that we don't have it all figured out, but that's not the case, y'all. We just tend to forget that we can tell people what we want. So I want you to tell me in the chat, do you carve out time for your health every single day? We're going to go through some steps that you can start taking every single day for all the different facets of your life, of your health rather, in your life, I guess, every day, right? Add a little bit in, do not go overboard. You can only do one thing at a time. One, you can literally only do one thing at a time. I want you to choose the right thing for you to do in that moment. So while y'all are telling me in the chat, if you carve time out for your health every single day, we'll start going through. So all the facets of our health, we have physical health, mental, emotional, spiritual, we have intellectual health. We also have occupational health, which we're not going to talk about per se specifically, but all of these things, they all bleed together, y'all. They're all connected. So physical health, sleep, we talked about that already. You want to be getting at least 7.5, preferably 8.5 to 9 hours each night. Some of you are getting up to 9. I'm very proud of you. Some of you are quite that. That's okay. You can do it. You can start tonight, actually. If you want it, you can actually try today. I want you to set a timer, not an alarm. So this is actually what I do, especially to make sure that I'm getting the right level of sleep / rest. Is I'll set a timer for 8 hours or 9 hours instead of an alarm. So instead of saying I want to wake up at 6, I say, how much sleep do I need? I want to have 8 hours of sleep. Okay, I set a timer for 8 hours, but I don't start it until I'm ready to go to sleep. And I put my book down, my Kindle down, and then I say, okay, I'm turning off the light, and I start the timer. If I have to wake up in the morning, if I don't have to wake up for something specific, and y'all know me, I don't like to do anything before 10 a.m., then I don't set an alarm at all. That's just not the way for everybody, because you have places to be and you have things that you have to do, and we get that, but we want to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep. Water, 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 water. You need water every single day, all day long. I've got a big glass of water here. I always keep a big glass of water. Drink all the water. You will feel better. Your brain will function better. Surround yourself with beauty and some positivity every single day. whether that's people, whether that's flowers, nature, whatever it is that you find beautiful. It might just be Instagram scrolling, art, some specific artist that you love. That's okay too, because you're engaging with your senses in that way. Don't scroll to procrastinate. You know who you are, you know when you do it, but it's okay to surround yourself with that. Take breaks often. And I mean often. And if you're not taking breaks right now, then start with at least one each day. Set a timer, 5 minutes, go outside. I recognize it's very hot outside right now, but that's okay too. Go outside. Stand outside in the shade for 2 minutes. Get some different breath, get some different air, and take that moment for yourself. You can take a nap, real or fake. I love fake naps. It's my favorite. Fake naps. So you know what a real nap is, right? You actually go and you lay down. And some people say, I can't nap during the day. That's okay. Go take a fake nap. I go and lay down on my bed. I turn off my phone. I turn off the lights. I close the blinds and the curtains. And I just lay in the dark for 15, 20 minutes. I don't sleep. I just lay there. I might listen to some music. I might stare at the ceiling. It's a fake nap. What it is rest, and it counts. Right? And then I can show up as I really need to show up. Move each day, right? Slow and easy, especially now. I don't know how you're feeling about being back. If you have to go to a hospital or an ER for something that happens, don't go extreme. Just slow and easy. Just ease back into it, please. If you need to do intense, that's okay too. Do a mix, but move every single day. All right, mental and emotional health. I'm going to put some resources into the chat for therapists if you don't have them yet. And then an article about limiting video calls. So you want to be honest and transparent about how you feel. We've talked about this, right? I want you to try to limit your Zoom, Skype video calls. I recognize the irony of this as you're on video call right now. Love you. But limit those things. It's okay to limit. I know my limit really is, my limit is 4 video calls a day or 4 meetings a day. My real limit, my preferred limit is 3. Sweet spot is 2. Now, that's not always the case for everybody, but you can politely decline a video call and say, you know what, I'd really love to just talk on the phone instead. Can I call you? Or let me email you about that. And then let's see if we can kind of figure out what we need to actually talk about on the Zoom to limit the amount of time that y'all are on. Define some work-free time for yourself and give yourself permission to be in a work-free zone. You should increase your own therapy visits if you have a therapist, but if you don't have a therapist, you can get one. And so I'm going to put these Googles here where you can Google Help Starts Here social worker, but I've also put them into the chat as well. Psychology Today therapist, whatever that looks like. Find a therapist if you don't have one. Even therapists need therapists, lawyers need lawyers, social workers need social workers, coaches need coaches. We all need support. Turn off or silence your notifications during the day or at night. Visit safely with your family and your friends. I'm still doing driveway hangouts where people have not been in my house. There's a reason. I don't want people in my house. I'm still not ready, right? And it's okay to not be ready just because everyone else might be, or everyone else thinks that they're supposed to be, right? Write down what you're grateful for each day and what went well, who was nice to you, maybe who helped you out. Have that gratitude. Write thank you notes at least once each week, and you can send those by email or by mail. And I do this. I love doing this. I love, love, love thanking people and sharing gratitude. It makes me feel great and it makes the receiver feel great. Intellectual health. You want to make a list and prioritize your time and your energy and your money. Now, this is a lot longer than we can get into right now, but you want to just ask, what's the most important thing I have to do today? You know the answer. Follow the answer. You want to delay some news consumption if you at all possible. Don't turn NPR on right when you wake up. How about you start with some nice calm music and then maybe listen to the news or turn the news on the TV or turn on the radio, whatever it might be. Try to read something that's not work or health COVID related every single day, so you get some positive funness and not just terrible things that are happening in the world and all the things you have to do. Start thinking about how you make decisions and make quality decisions over quantity. We are all in serious decision fatigue right now. It is massive. We are tired of making decisions. Every time we approach something, every time we put on a mask, every time we have to decide, do I need to wipe this down? Do I need to clean my hands? We have lots more decisions than we ever had to make before. Talk with your elders, talk with people in your family, ask them about their lives, document their stories. This is a great way to reconnect with people, especially since we've been separated for so long. It's really great to get together and like eat a meal together, but ask for stories, record them, document them, and then that way you've got them later. And if you need help with any of these things, obviously I'm here for you, right? And I recognize this is a lot. I told you this was going to be a jam-packed hour. And when you get your worksheet later, you can go, oh, that thing stuck out to me, and then you can go and write it down. So overall health, it's funny because my coach actually said to me today, Sheila, you are a whole person. You need to be taken care of. I was like, I feel real seen right now. You are a whole person, right? Every piece of you has to be mended, tended to, and taken care of. Every single piece of you. Acknowledge and let go what you cannot control, which is why actually doing the expectations exercise is really important, because you can then tell yourself, I'm not actually in control of this. I'm going to do my box breathing, take those deep breaths and let it go. There's only so much you actually are in control of. And if you really think about it, you'll realize that. Meditate. You can do 1 minute, 90 minutes. I use an app called Insight Timer. It's free. It's great. They've got guided music, non-music, voices only, like all kinds of anything you could ever think of. You might need to be alone right now. A lot of us are feeling like we have to be out there. It's okay to still be alone. If you're avoiding people because you're avoiding feelings, that's a different conversation that probably a therapist is for, but I'm happy to help you. Be a volunteer. If you feel like you need to like revisit your purpose, get back into the community, that's okay too. Think about what that looks like for you. Create some intentions, repeat those affirmations. Pay attention to the story that you're telling yourself and the words that you're saying to yourself inside your head. You can live stream some events or discover new ones, and ask yourself what you want and actually listen. Actually pay attention to what you want and actually do it, right? So I want you to tell me in the chat and we'll keep going. I want you to raise your hand with a big yes. If you stay up late, binge watching TV, Netflix, or Bridgerton. Those of you who don't know Bridgerton yet, I don't know if you want to, but it's there. It's racy right at night. Okay. So setting intentions and affirmations. So I want you to think about setting intentions and affirmations. And their affirmations and intentions, they're nice, right? But at some point they become just words that you tell yourself. What you really truly need on the other side of that is a plan, so that way you can start taking action. Your brain needs a plan. So when you're thinking about doing these things, you want to determine your purpose. You want to focus on what actually matters most to you. Not what you think should matter to you, but what actually matters most to you. What do you want to build or create? Envision this idea of what you actually want. Release, let it go. Forgive yourself for not doing what you were supposed to do, or what you, look, I said supposed to do, what you thought you were supposed to do, what you expected yourself to do or others to do. Acknowledge where you are your happiest self and identify what you are grateful for every single day or in that specific situation. Bring in that intentional gratitude. Some examples of this could look like, my focus today is me. Or when I begin to think that nobody likes me, I will go and read nice things that people have said about me on, social media or whatever. Like whatever it is, come up with this thing, this action that you're going to, when you start to feel a certain way or when you start to think a certain thing, that you're going to do something different to shift and reframe. You might say, I actively let go of expectations, or I forgive myself for not being everything to everyone. This is a biggie, especially I'm reading a book right now called Burnout. Gosh, I can't think of the author's name, but in this book, she's talking all about the human giver syndrome and how we are basically socialized as women, or who are socialized or brought up as girls, to be stereotypical, to be constantly giving of ourselves. And so that's something we all struggle with, right? And some more than others. If you've gotten a handle on it, awesome, proud of you. Please, let's talk after. And saying things like, I'm worthy of my health and my time. So when you're thinking about situations where you are not doing what you want to do or what you know that you need to do, I want you to think about these scenarios, right? So let's imagine for a minute. You wake up in the morning, 6:42 a.m. You look at the clock, you calculate the time, and you're like, oh, gosh, I barely got 6 hours of sleep again. I seriously need to stop snoozing my alarm. What's wrong with me, right? Grumpy, you get out of bed. Now, same day, 9:42 p.m., right? So now it's way late in the day. You're about halfway through your new guilty pleasure, Bridgerton. That's on Netflix. Maybe you don't watch it. That's okay. Whatever your other guilty pleasure is, if it's Bake Show or something. Ding, you get a notification on your phone. Another email from that really annoying, super pesky client, maybe, or your boss or a family member. And you pick up your phone and you're like, I am so tired. I do not want to deal with this right now. You put the phone back on. Awesome. You press play again, right? And you see this Duke. This is the Duke. And you settle back in. You're like, all right, I can do this. I can do this. And then 5 minutes later, the suspense is killing you, right? So you pause it again and you pick up the phone and you're like, I just need to know. I don't have to do anything about it. I just need to go to bed. I need to go to bed anyway. You read this message, you realize some stuff's blowing up, and then you start feverishly texting with them. And by the time you look up, it's after 11, right? You think to yourself, again, how did that happen, right? You might throw in some not so nice words about yourself. A lot of stress that we're putting on ourselves. So what happened? Were you having so much fun that you lost track of time? Obviously not. The most likely culprit is that you didn't set a goal or set boundaries around your time and your energy. The brain needs structure. It needs a process. And so some might call that a habit. So I'd like to know if you have trouble keeping up with your habits. And if so, which ones are the worst ones to keep up with? So put that in the chat and we'll talk about creating habits and goals. So the way that we start reaching goals, normally people will identify what they want. They justify that want with a need, and then they rationalize the need with excuses not to get it. So before they've even started to move towards it, they've determined that they can't have it. Then they don't make any progress. And then they beat themselves up for not reaching their want or their need. And then they make another excuse. And the cycle continues, right? I know that y'all have this cycle. I know you do. We all do. This is normal. So option one in our scenario was not a goal. It was a want. I need to go to bed soon anyway. I need to go to bed. Okay, cool. That's not a goal, right? Option two, we said, I just need to know I don't have to do it tonight. And when that doesn't work and we're frustrated with ourselves, we say, okay, starting tomorrow, no phone at night, like cold turkey. Well, it's not going to work, y'all. So why aren't these successful? Because they're not smart. And they're not just not smart because of the acronym, but they're just not smart because they're not truly letting you be and do what you need to do in that moment. SMART goals are specific and measurable. They're attainable. They're reasonable and realistic, and they're time sensitive. So you might say instead, for the rest of the month, I'm going to turn off all my notifications at 6 p.m. on Fridays, and I will turn them back on at 9 a.m. on Monday. That is a goal. It is a SMART goal. It tells you want, it tells you need, tells you exactly how to achieve it. Very simple. Ask yourself, is it specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, or realistic? And is it time sensitive? The best thing about a SMART goal is that you can apply SMART goals to every single thing in your life. Everything, personal, professional, business, financial, health, wellness, everything. You want to start emptying the dishwasher every day? Open the dishwasher in the morning and just leave it there open. You'll empty the dishwasher, or you might close it, but then you'll be like, I could just empty that dishwasher right now. Right? You can apply this to anything in your life. Remember, this focus is on you. right? And my clients know to ask, what would Sheila say? So when they're in a situation where they're struggling to make a decision or struggling to figure out what the right thing to do is in that moment, they say, what would Sheila say to do? And they know, you instinctively know. All I'm doing is saying, hey, you, what do you actually want? And letting you say it so we can process it so that way you can do what you actually want. So jam-packed hour, I was not lying. So in the chat, I want you to ask a question or share. I recognize we're coming up on our hour. So if you need to jump off, you can do that. I'm going to send you a follow-up email with the replay as well. But I want you to ask a question or share and say what your biggest takeaway from today is, what you give yourself permission to do, maybe what you might commit to if you need some gentle accountability like with me. And remember, the intellectual knowledge is not the same as your emotional knowledge. Those are two very, very different things. That's what you're going to be working on. And you're like, what do you mean, Sheila? It means that I'm basically issuing you a challenge. I want you to DM or tag me on Instagram, or you can email me if you have my email. Obviously you do because you're here at the Zoom call. And I want you to share, what's one change that you're going to make about your health and wellness, whether it's physical, emotional, intellectual, something that came to you today. You were like, I want to start. Tell me, tell someone else so that way we can help you get to the thing you want. What are you going to start doing today to strengthen that? Maybe that's emptying the dishwasher every day so you're not stressed out, right? How can I, and then tell me, how can I help you start moving towards that goal? And I love this. This is great. Having a lot of trouble with habits of all kinds. I'm a rebel. I know. A rebel type. And as soon as I have an expectation of myself, I immediately don't want to do it, even if it's my own expectation. That's good. We're going to have to talk about that offline. Let's talk about that offline. I give myself permission to rest and have evenings with no plans. Excellent. You're welcome. Happily. I'm going to cut myself some slack for not being productive all the time, but I'll commit to one SMART goal today. This is great, y'all. Oh, look, some of y'all are night scrollers, and apparently Bridgerton any days. Gonna actually try to determine what I'm telling myself. Yes, pay attention to those stories, right? You want to pay attention to those stories. We talk to ourselves all of the time, all of the time. We are constantly telling ourselves we're not worthy, we're not worth it, that it's not worth our time, that we should be doing something else. There are no shoulda, woulda, couldas in my space because those are judgments, those are expectations. If we know it's something we have to do, then let's do it. That's different than should do it because we want to do it or we need to do it, right? All right. And now some thank you gifts, which I will put into the chat, but I will also send to you in an email. So I want you to go to I got a little link here. It's a thank you page for you. You can have the free cheat sheet, the worksheet to apply what we talked about today. And then there's a link to download the free expectations workbook. It's an evaluating expectations workbook. It is intense, y'all, I'm warning you, but it's going to be good because it's going to blow your mind. And it's going to change how you interact with others. So if there's something, and you can keep doing that as many times as you need to keep doing the workbook over and over again, because you're going to find that you've got some expectations when you're feeling frustrated, it's going to come up, right? So thank you so much for coming today. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again soon. I love you. I'm seeing some messages that say I'm taking time for myself to rest and to play. I'm at the beach right now, actually for R&R this weekend by themselves. This is great. I love being alone. It's amazing. I say that as I'm married. I love being alone, but they love being alone too. So it's okay. So, all right. With that, I'm going to say I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate y'all being here today. If you want to hang out and you want to talk to me for a few minutes, I can, but I have a 6:15 call with a client, so I don't want to be late for that. And I love y'all. Thank you for being here. Let me know how I can help you. And yeah, and we'll go from there. Let's see. I'm going to look in the chat, but I'm going to start the music and answer any questions that might have come in. All right. Y'all have a good day.